You know, Shirley was very mentally strong, still is. She doesn't take anything from anybody, and that allowed her to be able to do what she did and do it so well.
I wasn't a novelty. I was a bona fide racer.
There's a lot more to the Shirley Muldowney story, and she'll share just a little bit more of it with us when we come back to Pomona. Special, a quick look at some of Shirley's stats, and they are Hall of Fame all the way. 157 races because it was 156 coming in this weekend. 3 championships, number 5 on the NHRA's list of the 50 greatest drivers. And maybe one stat we don't have on there is that she changed the face of top fuel racing 30 years ago. In fact, not only did she do that, but she became something that a lot of other people in this sport have never become, and that is a champion.
I've been doing this for 35, 36 years now, and I mean, I could give you a litany of people that have tried to do this, and the number of people that have attained the level of excellence that she has are, you know, minimal. I mean, you can count them on one hand.
To know what I had back then, opportunity-wise, and what direction I was going, it's amazing that I found what I found at such a young age, and somehow, with the help of a lot of people, hung in there and stayed with it and made something out of myself.
Obviously, she did grow that, you know, gain that respect from all the other racers, and especially the way she did it, being the first one in there and really having to fight her way up there. And then you go out there and you win, you know, 18 national events, 3 championships. You know, she definitely earned it.
When they had 10 races a year, we were in 7 finals. Ooh, that is impressive.
I would look up to Shirley and say, one day I want to be her and be in that position that she is, because I just thought it was just the coolest thing for her to go out and to run so fast and to be able to compete against the guys out there.
So I'm sure that they all looked at her as a, you know, the supreme woman, the one that's, you know, done it all, been there and done that.
Race car drivers can rarely choose one particular moment which stands out dramatically from their racing careers as a whole. Shirley can, winning the 1982 U.S. Nationals.
Winning Indy was everything in the world to me. I know there are drivers that have won it numerous times, and I commend them. I had a lot of experiences in Indy, but 82 was...
One of the loudest rounds of applause ever heard at a drag race was at Columbus last year when Shirley beat Kenny Bernstein in the 2nd round. She talks about that moment.
Yeah, well, they thought the stands were going to come down for a brief moment there. Whoa. Not that the stands would come down, but the fans got pretty excited.
You can take a look now as she's making the last pass, and you can watch people. You know, there aren't too many people that can come up to the starting line, and I, as an announcer, can say 2 words, their names, and have the people stand. I mean, it's pretty cool.
When she has the time, she will take the time with the fans, and you just look at her autograph. Her autograph is perfect. I mean, you can read every letter, and it's always been that way. It's never changed, because she will take the time, and she wants to make sure that those people remember that time with her.
And so how smoothly will Shirley slip into retirement after so many glorious wins and soaring emotional highs? In typical fashion, she'll do it her way.
There's just so much I have to be so happy about. People say, gee, you know, the retirement, how are you going to feel when you come down the road and it gets down to the last turn? No pun intended, but I'm going to feel terrific.
But there are very few of us that can look back at the end of a career or a life or something and say, you know what, I did this, I started here, and I got to here, I did it my way. And God bless her, she did.
What she went through was incredible, so I'm a huge admirer of hers. She's a racer, and she knows how to win, and she's won herself. That's pretty key in life, you know, and to go through what she did up there was awesome. It really was.
I will always miss, Ron always says, ready to go? Okay, here we go. Those words, and the car fires. I will miss that.
And we're going to miss you, Shirley. Here's an NHRA nugget on Shirley's career. 3 times she's won the finals, but not here in Pomona, hasn't done that. 3 other times at 2 other racetracks. Brought to you by Prestone. When you want protection inside and out, you want the Prestone family. And nothing protects better than Prestone Antifreeze. By Seal Power. And by Lucas Oil. It works. We want to see you back here at 4:30 Eastern Time on ESPN for all the final round coverage of the Auto Club of Southern California NHRA Finals from here at the Fairplex. 4:30 Eastern, ESPN. Time now for this week's Sportsman Spotlight. This past Thursday night at the Wally Parks NHRA Motorsports Museum here at the Fairplex, it was the banquet for the Summit ET Divisional Champions. 140 racetracks around the country have 7 divisions in which these guys are real double throwdown drag racers, and they got to whoop it up a little bit Thursday night here in Pomona. And we want to see you next Sunday, noon Eastern Time, from our studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, for our final edition of NHRA Today for 2003. Hope you can make it. All right, we got to get out of here. Coming up, the Mother's Car Show series. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. 4:30 Eastern Time. This afternoon on ESPN, the final race of the year. Whatever you do, don't miss it.
Final day of competition for one of drag racing's greatest racers. Shirley Muldowney will don the helmet and gloves and slip into her top fuel rocket ship one final time. Her life and career, which spanned 4 decades, 3 championships, and 18 wins, were depicted in the movie Heart Like a Wheel, making the name Shirley Muldowney widely recognized both in and out of motorsports. Today, you will witness the final pass of a 63-year-old legend. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents exclusive coverage of the $50 million NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Today, from Pomona Raceway in Pomona, California, it's the season finale, the 39th running of the Automobile Club of Southern California Finals. Overcast skies, cool temperatures. Look at the crowd coming in. They want to be here for Shirley Muldowney's last pass. Track temperature 75 degrees, and it is just perfect conditions. They're along the fence rails, wanting to get a close look at the legend of sport. Take a look now at the top fuel ladder. Here's the first round matchups. Tony Schumacher, new track record, 4:45. And there's Shirley Muldowney. Paul Romine will be her first competition in round number 1. And this was the scene just a few moments ago at driver introductions when Shirley Muldowney came through the gates to the throngs here at Pomona. Now we're going to be following and eavesdropping with one of her crew members, Donnie Couch, on this week's Crew Chatter.
You ready?
Yes, I am.
Now we're fired up. If we can go off adrenaline right now, I think we'd win the whole race and run 4:30s all day, the adrenaline we got. So we'll see what happens.
Well, 4:30s aside, the reality is that every time Shirley Muldowney comes to the starting line today, it could be her last pass. She's got a lot of good friends to help her this weekend, including Bob Brand, who tuned Don Prudhomme to 4 consecutive funny car titles back in the 1970s. But for Shirley, she'll race today the way she always has. No reservations, no second guesses, just a foot squarely to the floor.
Thanks, Bill. She'll be the 6th pair here in the first round of Top Fuel as we get ready to take a look now at Darrell Russell and Jim Head. Hello again, everybody. Marty Reed, along with Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Brief, Parker Johnstone, our entire ESPN crew. We're glad you're with us for the season finale. Darrell Russell has now gone 3 straight years qualifying for every single event, but this year he has yet to record a win.
Boy, and he'd like nothing better than to do that today. He's looked very consistent. Crew chief Wayne Dupuy has a good combination on that. If they don't smoke the tires at the hit of the throttle, he usually goes down the track and runs a good number. Jim Head, we watched, look at Wayne there. Jim Head, on the other hand, he's been getting that assist from Alan Johnson. He never looked better this year. This is a good matchup.
Went to the finals at Reading. Can he go to the finals today? Tire smoke for both cars. And the win light to Jim Head. 566 to a 578, and that is a big surprise because yesterday we did not see that kind of tire smoke side by side. And you were talking just before we went on the air that this was even better conditions than yesterday.
Yeah, as far as the atmospheric conditions, I mean, it's definitely a little bit cooler. The corrected altitude's a little bit better, but one thing, the track's a little bit green. Nobody's ran on the track. This was the first pair of cars down the racetrack, and obviously it wasn't quite what they thought it was going to be. As we watch Darrell Russell here, goes into that tire shake. As soon as it did, starts spinning the tires. He gets out of the throttle, gets back in it, spins it again. He's trying to chase down Jim Head at this point, who's having the same problem. He can see Head from that point, and he's just trying to get it down there, and Jim Head gets out there. Now watch this. This is great on the right-hand side. Watch Jim Head. He gets this thing pretty sideways right about there, trying to keep that thing in line. It actually shuts off because it got so sideways, but Darrell Russell just didn't have enough to get by him.
Back at the starting line, you look into the eyes of Kenny Bernstein. This, the final trip down the track for him, perhaps. Remember, he came back on board after the injury to Brandon at Englishtown. His 412th start in NHRA competition. And you know what's really interesting? Now that the championships have all been decided, take a look at what the Bernsteins as a tandem have done. Had you put both of them together, they'd be second in the points.
Yeah, I mean, they got 6 wins between the two of them this year, and I mean, that's a good season by anybody's account. And Tim Richards has done a great job with that team, especially being able to come back after that crash with Brandon. I mean, that could have been a team that could have said, hey, you know, we're not going to win the championship. Let's just go out there and kind of play around, see what happens. Not that team. They went out there and said, hey, you know what? We're going to do the best we can. We're going to see what happens, and we're going to go out there and try to win every race. And that man right there, Tim Richards, has done a great job this year.
He's won 3 of the last 4. Believe this, he has faced 137 different racers. This is his 1,007th round of competition.
Man, that's a lot of racing, but it's been a great career. And I'll tell you, this kid right here, Clay Milliken, would like nothing better, even though he has, I'm sure, has the utmost respect for Kenny Bernstein. He wants to take him out right now and try to get his first win ever in NHRA competition.
These two have only met one time prior. Kenny beat Clay right here at the finals in 2001. Milliken on fire as the car erupts, and Bernstein, who was really about 6/100ths slower off the starting line, a 4:57 at 323 miles an hour.
Well, you're right, Marty. Clay Milliken had the jump, but it started spinning the tires, and when it did that, it really mixed the cylinders up, and big explosion out of that car, and he was basically coasting across the finish line behind Kenny Bernstein.
And as you see some of the pre-race ceremonies that just took place a few moments ago, we take a commercial break.
Powerade presents Tactics and Strategies of the NHRA. This week, Powerade Pro Stock champion Jed Coughlin Jr. on how to win and keep on winning.
Drive straight.
Today's Speed World event, final eliminations of the Automobile Club of Southern California finals, brought to you by Powerade and the Automobile Club of Southern California. Through all of life's travels, we are always with you. And back here at Pomona Raceway with the overcast skies, giving us very good track conditions. We're getting ready for Corey McLenathan, the event winner, and his former teammate, David Baca. More on that, but first, let's go to the far end. Avery.
Kenny Bernstein first came to Pomona 30 years ago. Once again, saying goodbye this year, KB, but not in round 1 this time.
Yeah, well, a little better than last year, huh? Not the round 1 blues. That was a great job by the guys, because obviously we've been struggling yesterday a little bit. So just keep the Budweiser Lucas car going as hard as we can.
You probably saw a lot of 104 there.
Well, I don't know. I didn't see much of anything, really. You don't see anything in these cars unless they're way out in front of me, but I did the best I could, and that's all you can do.
Winner of the last 2 races, going for 3 in a row this weekend.
And the reference, of course, to last year here, where Kenny was eliminated in the first round by Yuichi Oyama. Right now, you get a chance to look at David Baca. The event winner here last year, we told you, was Corey McLenathan. He did it in that car right there that Baca is now in. Corey Mack goes 4:55 at 327 miles an hour. And the significance, besides going to second round, he denies Kenny Bernstein a chance to move from 7th all the way up to 5th place in the points. There is crew chief Ron Tobler as Shirley Muldowney's team gets ready for their first round up against Paul Romine. And let's check in once again with crew chatter and Donnie Couch.
Hey, Rick.
Have a great day.
Thanks for everything, buddy. We appreciate everything you do. I didn't think that Buster could be replaced, but I think you've proven it.
Thank you.
You're the best, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hope to see a lot of it next year.
We're going to try to play all day today. Thanks.
The reference, of course, to that man right there, Buster Couch, who was the chief starter for oh so many years in NHRA racing, replaced by that man right there, Rick Stewart. And you can see Rick giving his salute to Buster. Take a look. Something came off of Corey's car.
Yeah, let's see what happened there. Right? Oh, it's basically the catch can for the clutch system. There's a filter right on the end of this right here that catches the clutch just to keep it from getting on the racetrack that connects to the back of the bell housing. It just basically came loose from there and came out. Didn't affect anything on the run, but they'll have to fix that for next round.
You're looking at Rhonda Hartman-Smith. And over in the left lane will be the two-time Powerade champion, Larry Dixon. More on this matchup, but first, let's go back to the far end. Dave.
Corey Mack, round 1 wins are always nice, but that one was a little extra special.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. I mean, David and I are great friends, but when it really comes down to it, I want to beat him every time I race him. And that one meant a lot because we need to stay in 5th place, and if David went around me there and went on to win the race, he could beat me. So the only one I'm waiting on now to see is Kenny. If Kenny has, like he's had lately, if he wins, he could actually pass us and be in 5th point, which would just kill me. So my guys are doing a great job this weekend. On our second car for the weekend, I think they're just awesome. You know, we're just down starting to gel, so I hope we can continue this way.
Asked him if he felt the piece come off, guys. He said, no, he didn't feel that.
Yeah, not when you're going over 300 miles an hour. It's all behind you anyway. Let's talk about why Larry Dixon won this championship. His only round one loss was at the last event in Las Vegas after the title was sewn up. But look at that, 16 semifinals, 8 wins in 13 finals.
You know, and he also did it on consistency, and that's what he's done this week. And he's made 4 qualifying runs. We haven't talked much about him because he's not run those big 440s, but he's made 4 runs between a 453 and a 454 in qualifying. That is consistent as you can get in a top fuel dragster.
Rhonda has only ever defeated Larry once, but that was 1997. Larry's won 13 in a row. Smoke out of Dixon's car right at the finish line, but he runs a 4:53. That is low for the round so far, 321 miles an hour. Let's check in with Parker.
Well, Marty, last week, Wednesday, John Force, the 12-time funny car champ, suffered the worst injuries of his racing career. It didn't happen behind the wheel of his funny car, but rather in his workshop. While moving a glass trophy, he dropped it. The resulting lacerations to both hands required 40 stitches. Now, John's in a lot of pain while he's driving this car, but there's good news. Today, he's starting to feel better. In fact, his doctor removed some of the stitches from his fingers with these very Mac Tools pliers, Bill.
You know, it's very fascinating to watch what's going on at Shirley Muldowney's pit this weekend. When you take a look at the fans, there really is a sense of reverence there. When you go to some of the other pit areas down here for the final race of the year, there's a lot of camaraderie, there's a lot of celebration, there's a lot of rowdiness. Not over there. Fans are very subdued. They know they're watching the very last race for Shirley Muldowney, and you can tell that sentimentally, at least, it's beginning to affect them. As far as the team is concerned, a lot of her good friends are here. We mentioned Bob Brandt, Fred Wagenhals from Action Collectibles. People who have been with Shirley for the last 30 years are all celebrating her career today, and Shirley herself taking it all in stride, looking forward to being able to get off the road once and for all.
Thanks, Bill. Let's talk a little top fuel.
Well, Marty, we always talk about the parts that make these cars run the kind of numbers they do. Let's talk about the progression of those numbers in the last 30 years. In 1973, the national record was a 578 at 247.25 miles per hour by Big Daddy Don Garlitz. 10 years later, 539 by Gary Beck, 257 by Rocky Epperly. 10 years ago in 1993, that mark was a 476 by Corey Mack, 303.64 miles per hour by Pat Austin. And this year, so far, it could end this week at a 444 by Tony Schumacher, and Doug Coletta has ran 333 miles per hour.
Right now, we get ready for Scott Coletta in the left lane. Scott Wise in the right. And it is Coletta. He goes low for the round. 451 at 323 miles an hour. A good run for Wise at 461, but not to be. Will it be the last pass? Come back and find out. Now, you know, this is the end of the season, but it's also the end of a legendary career. Shirley Muldowney has produced tales of struggle and determination, and we had a chance to reminisce with her and her peers, and she's the subject of our Powerade profile.
I went out and took the test down at Connecticut Dragway and ran 155 miles an hour in it. So Darwin Dahl, who was the Division I director for NHRA at the time, was in attendance, and he very willingly signed my application license. And then, about 2 weeks later, I get this letter from NHRA, and it said, basically, forget it. There is no license. Don't even try to compete in this class. Girls don't drive dragsters. Dragsters are for men.
I knew that she was going to have a tough road to hoe, racing all the chauvinist guys in drag racing at the time, you know.
When Shirley came on in the fuel ranks and got her license and did everything she did, that was just that was tremendous. And you know, the guys didn't like it.
They hated me. They did everything back then, from trying to let the air out of our tires to they'd try to sabotage. I had Donnie Couch, best security in the world. Ron even took a couple down. Do you think we didn't roll in the dirt? In the early days, we rolled in the dirt.
Shirley, when she was young here, really was a feisty woman, trust me.
She did it her way, and she was going to do it her way. And if you like this and want to come along for the ride, then that's fine. You're welcome to hop on board.
When she drives the car, it don't make no difference whether it's a boy or a woman in the car. It's what she's capable of doing and driving the car and steering the car and reaction time of the car.
I wasn't into the woman thing. I was just into the drive the wheels off this thing, you know.
You know, Shirley was very mentally strong, still is. She doesn't take anything from anybody, and that allowed her to be able to do what she did and do it so well.
The best revenge was winning, and when you would nail them on the starting line. Really, good stuff. Good stuff.
And Shirley said the one thing she will miss was just a few seconds ago when Ron always leans over right before starting the car and he says, "Here we go." Well, here we go. The 157th time in her career she is competing in an NHRA national event. No one is sitting in the grandstands right now. 27 finals, 18 wins, 3 championships, number 5 on the all-time list. Parker?
I'm with another female legend of drag racing, Linda Vaughn. Linda, you were here for Shirley's first pass. Now you're here for her last event.
You know, I was at her first one. We've been a part of her team for 30 years, and I wouldn't have missed this for the world. And I was even late. But Shirley yesterday ran a 326 and had someone to work on that clutch. And if she doesn't stop the tires, she will win this round.
Well, if I could interject at one personal note, 27 years ago, a first-year reporter in Columbus, Ohio was there when Shirley won her first national event. And I had the opportunity to interview her. It's one of those memories I'll never forget because that was the day that she made history. And it's great to be a part of today.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just a great ambassador for the sport. But the tremendous job she's done over her career. And obviously she wants to get this win, but she's got to go against Paul Romine, who ran very good qualifying. It's going to be a tough race. We'll see what happens.
Romine and Shirley have never met till now. Shirley left on him, and she gets the win line in a whole shot. 468 to a quicker but losing 467. The last pass has yet
G front. Tobler, you're still alive. The last pass tour is not complete. In a hole shot.
In a hole shot, absolutely. You know, we were a little afraid of the racetrack and just trying to make consistent runs here, so we'll take them any way we can get them.
Let's take another look at the run. This car really got loose on her.
I'll tell you, she did her job. Got on the starting line, got her out of the groove right there, and made a hard move to the center, started spinning the tires. Paul Romine was ahead at that point, but this had some problems set in, and Shirley was able to drive around for the win.
Look at the margin of victory. About the length of the wing. We go on board.
Watch her work that wheel right there. That's right where it went over towards the center. She had to drive it off that center line. What a great job.
Take one more look in super slow-mo.
Man, wheels up. This car's moving pretty good, and it's going to make a hard move towards the center. Just kind of drifting right now. Oh, there, picked the front end up as the clutch started to come in. It moved her over towards the center, got out of the groove, and started spinning the tires a little bit hard right there and put a cylinder out, but Paul Romine starts having the problems right at the other end, and she was able to go by. Watch this. When it picks the front, it makes it hard move over there. She keeps it off the center line. Had she crossed the center line, she would have been disqualified, but she had to jerk that wheel, as we saw with the in-car. And then you saw Romine lose the belt just before the finish line, and that allowed Shirley to get by for the win. What a great job.
There she is with a special grandstand set up at the very far end. You got company, Bill.
Yes, I do. Shirley Muldowney slowly getting off the gloves and the glasses and the helmet. Not for the last time, as we just saw. She's already talking. Get the helmet off, Shirley. You know, yesterday I was talking to an old friend of yours, Don the Snake Perdone. And the Snake said, you know what? Shirley can still drive. Your 468 just beat a 467.
Okay, it still moved around at the top end, and I had to really muscle it somewhat. But the truth, I thought Romine was going to be a famous man this morning. He's famous in my book, I'll tell you. Thank you, Paul.
What a race.
And here is Paul Romine. Talk to any racer, never easy to lose a race, but that one with the legend.
Well, I said going into this thing, I'm going to be a trivia question here after this round. I'm either going to be the guy, the last guy that whooped up on Shirley at her last race, or I'm going to be the first son of a gun that she whooped up on. So I'm the latter, and you know, I have so much respect for her. She'll hate it if I say it, but I remember when I was a kid like this, I was watching her, and her and I are very, very good friends, and I wish her the best. Her and Ron are very, very good people, and Godspeed to her, and I hope she wins the whole damn thing and knocks all that big high-dollar guys out.
There's a lot of fans that would second that notion. There's Doug Herbert. He's got a tough task. He's up against Doug Kalitta. Now, let's talk about why Kalitta did not win the championship this year. And there are several key areas that they're going to look back on. The 10 round 1 or 2 losses that they suffered. He had 2 round 1 red lights, and he was 0-4 versus Dixon in finals.
Well, the key, like we saw with Larry Dixon, was the consistency. He didn't have it like Larry Dixon. They had the quickest and fastest car all year long, but they would lose the tire smoke every now and then. But I'll tell you what, this car has been very, very good all weekend. Seems like they got a very good handle on it right now.
Oh, no contest. Doug Kalitta goes 449. Low for the round. Connie likes it. 333.25 miles an hour. He could have a new speed record. Stay with us. We're going to take one more look at Shirley's run. We got a lot more coming your way here from Pomona. Well, as you get ready for Tony Schumacher there in the Army of One, he'll be up against David Grubnick. We can confirm Doug Kalitta does have a new speed record, 333.25. There he is. Let's go to Dave.
Let's see, Dougie. 100 G's already. Potential 50 more if we go the distance today. And the new national speed record at 333.25.
That's beautiful. You know, what can I say, Connie? Kalitta, this whole Mac Tools team, you know, they're working hard on this thing, and you know, we're making good power and going rounds, and couldn't be happier. So we'll just keep our heads up and see what happens today.
449 wasn't bad either.
Not bad at all. David Grubnick right there anchors the quickest top fuel field in history. He's number 16 at a 463. Tony Schumacher, well, why did he not win the championship? Take a look. 7 round 1 losses. The DNQ back at Englishtown. 3-7 versus Larry Dixon, and a real critical stretch. He had only one round victory from Gainesville to Topeka. That was 7 races long.
And Marty, that was before that man right there, Alan Johnson, came on board, and I guarantee you Tony wished he had him since the beginning of that season, because he definitely would be contending for the championship, if not have won it, because that car has just been unstoppable lately.
Air to spare, and another 449. 327 miles an hour. Tony Schumacher, I mean, poor David Grubnick was nowhere to be found. Take a look. Here are the matchups in round number 2. Schumacher and Scott Kalita have lane choice on the left side. Over on the other side, it's Doug Kalita and Corey McClenathan when we come back. You know, it's been an explosive year in funny car, and first round is next when we come back to Pomona. Looking down from the Sanyo Lightship, we're at the AAA of Southern California Finals at Pomona Raceway, and boy, I'll tell you what, if funny car's as good as Top Fuel, you're in for a great treat. The brothers are going to match up in round number 1, and you can see that the arrow indicates who has the lane choice. And over on the right side of the equation, the matchups as well. In fact, that first one is going to be Scotty Cannon. What probably is going to be his last day in a funny car, going back to Pro Mod. He'll be up alongside of Del Worsham in the Checker Shucks Cragen entry, as Del he made his pro debut back here in 1990. Lost to a guy by the name of Ed Ace McCullough. I don't think he wants to lose today. Not going to. 479 right out of the box, 318 miles an hour. That's the quickest that Del has run all weekend long. Let's go to the far end. Dave Reef.
Down with Tony Schumacher, the U.S. Army dragster, just being pulled away with a body panel got ripped up, probably because you just ran your 6th 440 pass of the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Probably left the Zeus clip out or shook it out half track when the chutes come out. It gets here underneath and needs to be released. But hey, U.S. Army going to 2nd round. Pomona really want this trophy. Got an awful lot of people down in Baghdad, Afghanistan, all the soldiers, man, this one's for you. A ton of people from Gates, Belts, and Hoses, and Matco Tools. Most importantly, for my beautiful new son, Michael Donald Schumacher at home. You know, and Anthony obviously waiting for me to bring him that trophy, because I tell him, Pop's going to go get you a trophy, and he looks forward to it every week.
One proud dad who's still swallowed a bitter pill yesterday wants to resurrect that.
Down here at Shirley Muldowney's pit after that stunning first-round victory over Paul Romine. This is Donnie Couch. We're listening to him on the crew chatter today, and right now he is trying to get the pressure plate off of the back of the flywheel of the engine down here, and Donnie, as you continue to crank on that wrench. How does the team feel about that run of 468? You're probably going to need more than that today.
Bill, we're happy. We're happy we get to play here. We're having a few problems here with this, but Shirley proved that wasn't going to be her last pass. Might be the last time I tear out my arm, though.
It could be your last pass. It's not usually hard to get that
pro stock driver when we need him.
We'll go get somebody. Not usually that tough getting the bolts out, I take it.
No, we got a problem, but we're working on it.
All right, we'll let you get to work.
And as they continue, they're already at work in Tony Schumacher's pit. And just in case you weren't with us yesterday for the Budweiser shootout, the pill that he had to swallow was running a 447 and getting beat. That's right. That's what happened. Doug Kalita took the 100 grand. Now, here is what happened to John Force on Friday. Now, remember, he had the injury to his hands, and we were watching him get out very gingerly, protecting especially the left thumb.
Yeah, it's that left thumb that's giving him the most problems. He says it's not too bad when he drives because he basically uses his fingertips, but he's really got to watch it because if he hits his thumb, it really causes a lot of pain. But other than that, he says he's fine.
And John celebrating an anniversary as well. His career started 25 years ago today at this event. Tony Bartone coming back to the sport since St. Louis of 2001. He's in the K&N Filters car. Well, you saw Bartone go up in smoke, and John goes 479 at 322 miles an hour. So he is into 2nd round competition, and the thumb's doing just fine. Thank you very much. Stay with us. The champ up against his brother and maybe future teammate when we come back. Our friends in the San Diego Lightship are flying overhead with the eye in the sky here at Pomona Raceway at the AAA of Southern California Finals. And we want to thank pilot Alan Judd and cameraman Mike Wolf. Great job, guys. Love having you all year long. Let's check in again with Bill.
As you can see, Donnie Couch has got a cutting tool to try to get that last retaining nut off of the bolts that hold the clutch pack to the back of the flywheel. Donnie, once you get that off, you guys be all right?
Yeah, there it's off.
There we go.
We're done. Get her done.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where
got it. Just let him drop.
Just basically strips a stud right there, Marty and Bill. I think it's just you can't get that thing off. You just got to cut the thing off and break it like they did. And they obviously got a spare flywheel that they'll put on there and be ready for next round.
Meanwhile, we go back out trackside and get ready for the brothers Pedregon. Now, here is the reason why Tony won the championship. Look at this consistency. 8-0 in finals. 17-5 against Bazemore, Force, Worsham, and Densham.
And that's the key. Anytime you win the championship, you have to be able to beat the best of the best, or you're not going to do it. And Tony Pedregon was able to do that all year this year.
Of course, the big news still swirling is that Tony will leave John Force after this race and join Brother Cruz on a two-car team for next year. The announcement, if it's going to be made, will be sometime next week.
And Marty, that speculation is absolutely correct as far as everyone knows. The racing season may end this afternoon. The silly season will continue for some time. Tony Pedregon told me yesterday he is going to wait until after this afternoon, after the awards banquet on Monday. It will be Tuesday before he reveals his plans for the 2004 season. And of course, he is at the top of the list because there are many drivers waiting for that decision before they can announce their intentions for next year.
Right now, the brothers are going to square off. Cruz trying to get back into the top 10. But he's going to have to get past Brother Tony. Tony looking for a possible national record. .472 with a 2. And Tony has got this car on a rail. That's just 1/1000th of a second off of the national mark, 320 miles an hour. Look out, guys. This guy's loaded for bear. Let's go to Dave.
Happy anniversary, champ. 25 years in this business, and you watched with earnest vigor on that run of Tony's.
Well, Tony, you know, I saw him in his new NHRA Powerade Championship jacket. He looked beautiful, and bottom line, he's got a bad hot rod right here. We've invited him to stay, but you know them kids. Bottom line, want to thank AAA of Southern California. Want to thank everybody. Racing Bartone was great, and hell, we're going to come out here and try to win us a drag race because this is the end. And say goodbye to Shirley. One door closes, one door opens, and new funny car champion here. So we're excited for Tony.
He told me he saw his future in the bottom of a glass of milk this morning, Marty.
Yeah, and he said he knows what he wants to do with the team now, but he hasn't let anybody in on what that change may be. Look at how much work has already progressed in Tony Schumacher's camp.
It's just amazing what these teams do in a lot of time. I mean, it's 75 minutes, but basically they rebuild these engines in about 40-45 minutes. And, you know, it looks effortless. You know, I mean, those guys aren't moving very fast. Everybody knows what their job is, and they do it, and they do it well.
Now, it's a little different over in Shirley's pit. Remember, they were having problems back in the clutch area.
Man, I think Bill Stevens...
And they are still trying to get some of that work done.
Yeah, that's one thing. That clutch should have been out long before the rods and pistons were out, but since the problem getting that bolt out, obviously they're a little bit behind on that. But usually it takes less time to put the clutch in than it does to rebuild the engine, so they'll be just fine.
Where's the flywheel?
Let's check in with Dave Reef again.
Tony, 472-2. That on the plus side.
I'm trying to give Medlin and Dickey what they want, and that's a very shallow stage. And you look at the cloud cover here, we're at sea level, and just trying to chase after the record. I mean, I'll be honest, I know Cruz is going to be taking a shot. So is everyone else, but so are we. We're going to shoot for the record because we know that's something that'll probably stay for a while. And I'm glad that John's in. Looks like his hands are feeling better, and he's working on his Carl's Jr. I bet there's a Starland on his car next year.
And of course, that's the Carl's Jr. end zone down here. A lot of fans in the grandstands watching. All the emotion.
Well, let's focus in a little bit on Funny Car.
Let's talk about the progression of the laps, times, and speeds over the last 30 years for Funny Car. 1973, 635 at 232 miles per hour. ET by Don the Snake Prudhomme, the speed by Bobby Rowe. 10 years later, a 573, once again by the Snake. The speed record was set that year at 256 miles per hour by Kenny Bernstein. 10 years ago, it was John Force at a 499. Jim Epler set the mark at 300.40 miles per hour, the first 300-mile speed on Funny Car set in Topeka. And then this year, John Force, 472, and Gary Selke at 329.
Gary Dencham and both cars in smoke. And Bob Bodie has put Gary Dencham on the trailer. So a big upset here. The number 15 qualifier dumps the number 2 qualifier. So Bob Bodie into the second round as you get another look at both these cars. Both drivers had their hands full, and it was Bodie getting to the line first. We've got to take a commercial break. Stay with us. Still more funny car coming your way here from Pomona Raceway in the season finale. Back here at the AAA of Southern California Finals at Pomona Raceway, getting ready for Bob Gilbertson. And in the left lane, it'll be through the cloud of smoke with Bazemore. There he is. Now, while those guys back up, let's go back into the pits and get a little more crew chatter with Donnie Couch. And when you know it, Donnie's not talking.
Well, that's what happens when you do the work. And I know firsthand because I used to do the clutch. It's pretty busy back there, and your hands are pretty warm. But Donnie, he's getting her ready. Staying focused.
Talk, Donnie. Donnie, please talk.
Hey, Donnie, what are you working on now?
Thanks, Bill.
You know what? We're just prepping all the bolts. You saw we had a little galding issue. I got to make sure everything's clean for reassembly. We pulled the clutch out and everything looks good. And we've got a new fresh pack and new flywheel and everything to go on. Flywheel bolts and everything are getting cleaned. Actually, the stuff that's going on in here is getting ready for the next round, hopefully, if we can play. If we get lucky, but a lot of heat in the clutch. They get like 1,800 degrees hot, so they galled. We haven't had a problem with them, so you guys come around with your camera, Bill. I think it's, you know, you might have jinxed us.
All right, thank you, Donnie. That'll be it for now.
Yeah, we're done. We're out of here. We're going back out trackside. Thank you, guys. Take a look. There's Witt's numbers for the weekend as he qualified the number 3 position. Red light, Gilbertson. Oh, and Gilbertson's going to be kicking himself because he could have had Win Bazemore. Let's go to the far end. Dave.
Down with Gary Dencham under the John Force Racing banner for the last time. Can't answer that yet, but silly season begins in earnest now for you.
Yeah, it does, you know, and I mean, obviously Gary Dencham wants to be out here next year. And I tell you what, I want to put one thing public right now. No matter how it shakes out, it appears that, you know, that Tony Pedregon and I will not be on the same team. Who knows who's going where, but I just want to say he's been a great guy to work with, and he's going to be a great champion. I want everybody to know that. But obviously, I want to be out here, Auto Club. Really sorry today, guys. We didn't do any better, but you know, we got a bad, fast hot rod, and hopefully we're back sitting out here at the Winter Nationals beating everybody out.
Wouldn't be the same without Gary.
And Dave, the inside story is that if Tony Pedregon leaves John Force Racing, Gary Dencham will return with the team in 2004. Earlier today, I spoke with someone very high up in the AAA Southern California organization, and they said no matter what, they will continue their association with Gary Dencham because he is the cornerstone of their entire motorsports marketing program.
Thank you, Parker, for the update. Now, as these guys back up, Ron Capps and Gary Scelzi, let's get caught up on Donnie Couch so far. A little bit of highlights of what he's been going through today.
You know what? We were looking on the video last night, ESPN coverage, and her foot's coming off the throttle at 3/4 mark, and she's kind of shutting off the throttle 2/3 of the way closed, and it's still run, you know, 62 at, you know, 326. So we're a little bit there, and we left a little on the tune-up, so it ought to be a great day. I don't know. We're about stuck where everybody's going here.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty much where we were. We were riding these same tracks the other day. It's the same groove. 82 degrees. I think the track's just a little green.
Bill, we're happy. We're happy we get to play here. We're having a few problems here with this, but Shirley proved that wasn't going to be her last pass. Might be the last time I tear out my arm, though.
Your last pass.
Where's a pro stock driver when we need him?
Oh, I love it. Hey, these guys are tied for 6th place in the points. That's right. So whoever wins this round moves ahead. sixth place in the win line to Gary Scelzi. 481, 323 miles an hour. Don Schumacher likes it. And we've got to take a commercial break. When we come back, it'll be Tim Wilkerson up against Phil Burkhardt as Funny Car Round 1 continues. Time now for Phil Burkhardt in the Checker Shucks Craig and Blue Firebird to go up against the Levi Ray and Schaub Firebird of Tim Wilkerson.
Tim Wilkerson, what can you say? Probably the best independent or single car team, I should say, of the year. Winning the U.S. Nationals, runs very consistent. He started out the year #1 qualifier here at the Winter Nationals with like nothing better than cap off the season with his third win.
The only single car team to win this year. He's going to take another step towards making it 3 wins this year. 477 at 322 miles an hour. You saw Phil Burkhardt having all kinds of problems. Let's check in with Bill Stevens.
Down here in Shirley Muldowney's pit, after they got that clutch problem straightened out, the rest of the between-round maintenance has been pretty routine. Shirley's just putting the finishing touches on packing her parachute. And I got to tell you, they are very happy with the way this car has performed this weekend. They went 466, 464, 462, and 463. In qualifying, they just went 468. That's 5 straight passes in the 460, something that this team really has never done before with this car. They're very pleased.
And you can see Shirley continuing her work as we switch over to Tony Schumacher's camp, and they're buttoning things up as well.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You got to remember, some of the funny car guys are still out there running, haven't even got back to the pit to start tearing theirs apart, and they're already got theirs back together.
U.S. Nationals winner Tim Wilkerson, 477. You said it was trucking.
Oh, man, I had my hands full out there. That booger was lifting the nose, skirting around. Hey, for Levi Ray and Schaub and Mac Tool, Sioux City, all the folks that support our car. What, it only takes me a whole year to run another 70. Run a 76 the first time of the year here. Only took me a whole year to do it again. So, hey, I'm proud of our performance. I got a great team, and you know what? We may not be the Schumachers or the Forces or the Worshams with all them cars, but for a single car, I'm proud of my guys. We're badass.
And he is the U.S. Nationals winner, Dave.
When Gino Scali came to Pomona, it was inevitable. Well, it is finally here, and now for 18 hours, you have worn the Hattis Pro Stock Bike Champion. In fact, I heard you slept in it last night.
Yeah, you know, I talked to the Power Rated, can I hold it for, you know, just a day, you know, because they want to present it, you know, at the banquet on Monday night. You know, it was a beautiful thing. I had a lot of friends, family there, you know, at this race, and a lot of fans. The fans just want to be a part of it, and that was so cool because it was like, stand in line, let's take a picture with the champ, you know, so that was a cool feeling. It started to sink in right at that moment. You know, I thank you guys. I thank NHRA. I thank Wally Parks for putting this deal together, and I thank Powerade because it's so sweet and special. A dream come true.
He'll be on the stage at the Kodak Theater Monday night.
And that is open to the public free of charge, 7 o'clock at the Kodak Theater. Time for our final first-round funny car pair. Tommy Johnson Jr., 10th place in the points, but he is qualified for every event this year. There's his tuner, Mike Green. Corey Lee may be a candidate for the K&N Filters ride. He's over in the right lane in the T2 car. Corey first to the strike, 482, and that is a career best ET, 316 miles an hour for Corey Lee. The good news is he advances. The bad news is he's got to go up against Tony Pedregon. Of course, Tony has lane choice. Force has lane choice as well as Tim Wilkerson and Del Worsham. When we come back, it'll be time for Pro Stock here at Pomona. Back here at the Automobile Club of Southern California Finals in Pomona. And you can see that there's Donnie Couch. And let's get caught up on crew chatter.
Did you have the header off?
Yeah, they changed it.
Okay, well, it was laying in the header. It blew out as soon as we started. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and check them. It ain't going to hurt to throw a wrench on there. Right? Right, Fred?
As we bid a very fond farewell to a great racer and a groundbreaking legend, we want to share some more stories and milestones of the First Lady of Drag Racing, Shirley Muldowney.
I just knew that, you know, if she gets the right opportunity and gets the right equipment, that she was going to be something special.
To know what I had back then, opportunity-wise, and what direction I was going, It's amazing.
Being the first one in there and really having to fight her way up there. And then you go out there and you win, 18 national events, 3 championships. She definitely earned it.
When they had 10 races a year, we were in 7 finals. Ooh.
The number of people that have attained the level of proficiency, not proficiency, the level of excellence that she has are, minimal.
I would look up to Shirley and say, one day I want to be her and be in that position that she is, because I just thought it was just the coolest thing for her to go out and to run so fast and to be able to compete against the guys out there.
And you just look at her autograph. Her autograph is perfect. I mean, you can read every letter, and it's always been that way. It's never changed, because she will take the time, and she wants to make sure those people remember that time with her.
I will always miss, Ron always says, ready to go? Okay, here we go. Those words, and the car fires. I will miss that.
She's a racer, and she knows how to win, and she's won herself.
There's just so much I have to be so happy about. People say, gee, the retirement, how are you going to feel when you come down the road and it gets down to the last turn? No pun intended, but I'm going to feel terrific.
Everybody else has been more emotional about this than she has, as the engine has already fired, and she'll be in the right lane here in second round action. Everybody gives her the thumbs up against Corey McClenathan. Remember, these two met just a couple of weeks ago at Las Vegas, and Corey beat her there, and she playfully threw her collar or neck collar at him at the far end.
Yeah, Marty, you talked about her being emotional. I think that'll happen after the race. I mean, she's doing what she's always done over the number of years she's been racing. She's staying focused because she wants to go out in style. She'd like nothing more than to win this race.
Her first Pomona, the Winter Nationals of 1975. She lost that race to a guy by the name of Dick LaHaye. She doesn't want it to end just yet. Shirley had him on the tree, but a 4:55 as Corey Mack takes Shirley on her last pass. Parker?
With Ron Tobler, the final pass and the last pass to her has occurred. You've touched so many.
Well, yeah, she really has. I mean, what a career it's been. There's a lot of highlights to look back on and maybe just a couple of lowlights, but she's a terrific racer, very hard racer, and all you can ever say about Shirley is that we tried our best. Thank you.
Let's go back and take another look.
Well, like you said, Marty, she definitely had the advantage off of the starting line over Corey. Didn't quite have the horsepower. Corey McClenathan was running very good. You see her get the jump, and then shortly after that, about 60 feet out, Corey had already caught up with her and started driving away. Made a good run there. See the incremental times there? She had the whole shot off the starting line, was ahead 60 feet. From there on, it was all Corey Mack with that great pass, 4:55 at over 322 miles per hour.
Super slow-mo of Shirley's last pass down the quarter mile.
Look at her hiking that front end up through the middle of the course. She kept it stuck in the middle of the groove this time. Maybe slipped the clutch just a little bit too much and didn't get that acceleration down the other end, but still, all in all, a great effort.
Donnie Couch going, oh so close, yet oh so far. And they're still getting Shirley off at the far end of the track. We'll certainly get a chance to talk to her, but next up, the engines have already fired. And that's just how quickly life goes on. It's not just in day-to-day, but even in the NHRA. It's time for Larry Dixon and Scott Kalita. And Scott Kalita does hold the distinction over Larry. Scott was the first racer to beat Larry in his debut race in Pomona in 1995 in the semifinals. And there is Shirley climbing out of the cockpit for the last time at the far end of the racetrack.
How does it feel to be the bad guy, huh?
I don't like it at all. He doesn't like it at all.
Wow, Corey said he didn't want to go get him now. Exactly now.
Some private words. How's it feel to be the bad guy? And he didn't like it at all.
Shirley Muldowney for the final time removing the helmet. And for the final time, climbing from the cockpit of her top fuel dragster, a moment we knew was coming, a moment that certainly none of us was looking forward to, but it had to happen. And we can only hope that this isn't the last we've seen of Shirley Muldowney.
I knew at 300 feet, but I just kind of hung in there. I don't know what we ran, but it was certainly respectable.
You had an 0:28 light, Shirley Muldowney.
Oh, what did he have?
Doesn't matter. Yours was quicker.
I love it. That's the best light I've ever had, other than when, you know, you deep stage. And, oh, I miss that deep staging. Oh, this is wonderful. I want to thank Powerade. What a wonderful compliment. Couldn't thank him enough.
Shirley, on behalf of everybody here at ESPN and every drag racing fan around the world, thanks so much for what you've done and also for the attention you've given us this weekend.
Well, thank you. I can't thank everyone enough. It's a very memorable weekend. I wouldn't trade it for anything that I know of. Not.
Neither would we.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And as the emotion is shared at the far end, Scott Kalita puts Larry Dixon on the trailer with a career best 4:49 at 331 miles an hour. More on all of this when we come back. There's husband Ron. Here at Pomona, one more look at Shirley Muldowney's run. You heard her make a comment about thanks to Powerade. You know what they did? They had 2 cases of pink Powerade made especially for her. They're the only 2 cases in existence. And there she is at the far end with the pink Powerade and getting a final farewell from Larry Dixon, who just went out after smoking the tires against Scott Kalita and his career best 4:49. Now it's time for Tony Schumacher and Jim Head. Schumacher, left lane, Head in the right. And another 4:49. That's the 7th time in a row this weekend that Tony Schumacher has gone into the 40s. Check in with Bill once again.
Larry Dixon offering a hug and congratulations to Ron Tolber, the tuner and husband of Shirley Muldowney. And we'll just sneak in here and try to get a word with the 2-time Powerade Top Fuel champion. Larry, you go back a long way. You're a second-generation racer. Your dad, of course, a Top Fuel racer. What does it mean to the sport not to have Shirley involved anymore?
It's, you know, everybody knows her, you know, and it's important. I mean, the big names of the sport, Snake, Big Daddy, Shirley, you know, I mean, they're all one-name people, and they know it. I mean, they just told me she had a 28 light. They're hiring him as Colette as a crew chief. I'm going to hire her as a driving coach. Because, I mean, her last run and have a 28 light, she still got it in her.
From one champion to another.
And just in case you are a first-time viewer, the reaction time is what they're referring to on that 0:28 light. 0:00 is perfect. That's how good that last run is. Think about this also. In her last year, Shirley has her career best at a 4:57, has her career best speeds. Just a great way to end a 30-year career. Now, speaking of also final passes, we thought Kenny Bernstein was done last year. Of course, the injuries to Brandon brought him back, but if Doug Kalita puts him on the trailer, it will be the last time we'll see the Bud King at the wheel of the Budweiser Top Fueler.
Yeah, but don't count Kenny Bernstein out. He's been on a roll, and he would like nothing better than to go out in style with a win here. Obviously, he's got his work cut out because that car right there has been running very, very well. But it's sometimes a little touchy. We can see tire smoke from every now and then, but they do have the preferred left lane. I think the lanes are pretty even, other than the fact you're in the right lane. If you get towards the center a little bit, tend to want to drive the car off towards the center line and can get a little bit loose. But other than that, he can keep her stuck in the middle of the lane. The tracks, both lanes are pretty even.
Kenny Bernstein has raced the Kalita family, Connie, Doug, and Scott, a total of 67 times. Is this the last one? The answer is no. He goes 450, 327. You saw Doug Kalita. There will be no double-up bonus of $50,000. He won the Budweiser shootout yesterday, but goes down to defeat, smoking the tires, to Kenny Bernstein. Lane choice in the semis goes to Tony Schumacher by 7 1/1000th and to Kenny Bernstein by 5 100ths over Corey Mag. And as we get ready to go to commercial break, there is Shirley heading down the stretch and in the return lane to the adulation of the fans. Now, second round of Funny Car. What a great year it has been. And it's going to continue when we come back to Pomona.
presents Tactics and Strategies of the NHRA. This week, Powerade Funny Car champion John Force shares his secret for drag racing excellence.
Don't turn!
This has been Tactics and Strategies of the NHRA. Brought to you by Powerade.
Take a look now at the ladder for Funny Car here in the second round matchups. Tony Pedregon, John Force. They've got the lane choices on the left side. Over on the right, Tim Wilkerson and Del Worsham with the lane choice there. First matchup we're going to see will be Whit Bazemore and Del Worsham. Now, Whit is going to finish second in the championship. And here's the reasons he did not win. 3 first-round losses. The one DNQ really hurt him at Reading. And he was 2-5 versus Tony and 0-3 in the finals. Dave Reef?
Briefly talked to Lee Beard right before the car started, asked him what happened in round 1 because the car did not perform. Strictly said it was too powerful. So Mike Dunn, what can he do to back it off?
It's just one of those things. They can take power away by taking chips out of the ignition timing. That'll actually lower the RPM, lower the horsepower, try to get that car down the racetrack.
Not going to happen. Del Worsham goes 483 at 319. And you saw Bazemore. I mean, they lit the hides right at the strike of the throttle. And take a look. Shirley is just coming into view now here at Pomona. And when the crowd gets a real good idea, yep, here it comes, the ovation. The last time she's going to come down the return road here at Pomona Raceway at the finals. You heard Bob Fry make the announcement. Just listen to the crowd. Nobody on their seats. They're on their feet. 30 years of thank yous right now. Heading down the return road. You saw Shirley pitch her gloves into the stands. And the fans paying one final tribute. And I wonder, she is loving it, and she has earned it.
I'm going to tell you what she's done for the sport. And you can still go back to your back in the pit area where no single lines and any truck or trailer were connected.
An absolutely incredible moment that I don't think the fans wanted to end.
No, I mean, and I'm a fan, and I don't want it to end. It's the end of an era, you know. I mean, I grew up and, you know, racing with Shirley with my dad, you know, back in Funny Car. Never had the opportunity to race her in Top Fuel, but I actually did race her in my Funny Car in a special match race one time at Carlsbad Raceway when she was in her dragster. But just a great, great lady.
Photographers trying to get the best shot that they can. Look at them scrambling. They all want that one great shot that will live forever. As this top fueler makes the turn for the final time, heading back into the pit area. And we say farewell to a legend, Shirley Muldowney. Let's go to the far end to Bill. He's with Kenny Bernstein.
And actually he's been replaced with Parker. And from the legend of Shirley Muldowney, the legend of Kenny Bernstein. Kenny, I know the Forever Red Tour didn't finish up maybe the way you'd hope, but now you're on a tear, winning 3 of 4, 450, 327. You guys are rocking and rolling.
Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And hats off to Shirley first, because 30 years of doing it, she's been a great ambassador to the sport. Tim Richards, the Bud King, Lucas Doyle team, boy, that was a good run there. They really stood on it. Tim said, we're going to have to take a chance because that Doug Coletta car is flying.
And your single season round record is alive and well with the elimination of Larry Dixon. Congratulations, Kenny.
That's right. He holds the mark at 61. And Larry would have had to go a few more to take it away. It's not going to happen. Bob Bodie, with his second round win of the year, finds himself into second round action here at Pomona up against Tim Wilkerson. And Wilkerson will be over in the left lane.
Well, what can you say about Tim Wilkerson? This car's just been flying. They run good numbers. Usually they're not low ET other than coming out the Winter Nationals and Stadium, but for the most part during the year, they've ran very good numbers, but they're always right there, and they get down the racetrack fairly consistently. They got to do it again today, but boy, that looks very, very good for them right now.
Tim Wilkerson has never lost in 2 prior matchups with Bob Bodie. You already know, if you were with us earlier, that he has won twice this year. Bodie's never even made it to a semifinal, so he wins here. It'd be new territory for the Barrington, Illinois resident. Tim Wilkerson takes the win light of 489 at 318 miles an hour. As we head to commercial break, we'll show you one more taste of Shirley Muldowney as we say farewell on the last pass. And there is Shirley back in the pits with Donnie Couch, and maybe with Donnie's mic we can listen in a little bit. Look at Donnie. He's swept away with emotion.
Well, we outboxed him. Yeah, I know the deal. I've always known the deal.
That's for sure. She has always known the deal. Meanwhile, back out on the track, we're getting ready for Corey Lee and Tony Pedregon. Just puts your new Powerade champion on the trailer with a 487, 321 miles an hour. That's a career best speed. He had his career best ET in the first round. Let's go back and take another look.
Well, Tony had 200s off the starting line, but look at that tire shake right there. Got it off the back of the tires off the ground when he backpedaled one time, and he's trying to get the thing to recover. Obviously, it keeps spinning the tires. By that time, Corey Lee is gone.
And is that the last time we see him in that car? Let's go to Bill.
Well, as you could see just a few moments ago, each and every member of Shirley Muldowney's crew has come over to give her one final hug and one final message of best wishes. These are mostly all volunteer workers down here. They do not get paid. They spend their time on the road with Shirley, giving her the best possible race car with Donnie Couch right now. Can you believe the emotion down here, Donnie? I mean, it is just so sincere, so heartfelt. Even Shirley getting a little misty there.
You know, I think I'm the toughest guy in the pits, and she made me cry. So it's we have a lot of memories with Shirley, not just with the runs, but the fun times we've had for all these years. We've all been together, and Ron's put together this crew of people to enjoy the last year with Shirley. And we all got along good and all made some good calls. And the toughest thing to do is race against those guys that do it every weekend. And we felt that we could do that and bring a car in here. And we proved that we could run 450s and stuff. But it's hard to outrun them guys that, you know, we're only here 6 races a year. Those guys have big budgets and big pockets. But we gave it our best shot. Shirley's the greatest.
You guys done great, believe me. A lot of love down here, Parker.
With the 2003 Funny Car champ, Tony Pedregon. Tony, is that your last run in a John Force Racing funny car?
I've come this far. I ain't going to say. Maybe Tuesday. I know it shook the heck out of me. So anything I say right now really doesn't count. But we're really trying to bring the record back here to Southern California, the Auto Club Nationals. And, hey, it was a great run. Either way, we still have tomorrow to enjoy it, our awards ceremony. And, hey, it was worth a shot. And a little disappointed we won, but this car did perform. We did it in a Ford. We did it with Castrol.
You'll make an announcement on Tuesday?
I'm so dizzy, I don't even know.
Back at the starting line, let's take a look at why John did not win the championship here in 2003. The 7 first-round losses really hurt. 3 red lights sure didn't help. He was 1-4 against his teammate and did not advance to a final until the 11th race of the year at Columbus. He's up against Gary Seldy. Boy, you're talking about 2 guys that have shared the stage on awards night 3 times. They've shared it. Right now, They want to put each other on the trailer. Red Light Force, his 4th of the year. And a 4.75 by Selzy at 326 miles an hour. John ran a 4.80, but Selzy takes John out. In fact, all of Team Force is gone. It will be, with the lane choice, Gary Selzy over Corey Lee and Del Worsham over Tim Wilkerson. What a year it has been in Pro Stock. When we come back, we'll get caught up on second round action there. Back here at the AAA of Southern California Finals, a champagne toast in Shirley Muldowney's pit. I'm Marty Reed, along with Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reed, Parker Johnstone, and our entire ESPN crew. And glad that you're with us to share this moment. You know, we've got great aerials also. The Sanyo Lightship is bringing us all our exciting NHRA competition from the Sanyo Lightship. Alan Judd, the captain, cameraman Mike Wolf, thank you guys. And let's now check in with Parker Johnstone.
And the fuse was too short. John Force just making his way back to the far end. He had gotten out of the car earlier after an engine problem. Tony Pettergon's crew all over the car. John, you got out and looked at me and said, who won? You didn't realize you had red lit.
Well, they told me that he won, and I'm saying, no way, I didn't see him. He wasn't there, and the next thing I know, they said I red lit. Man, Castrol and AAA Southern California don't pay you to red light. I can't believe that happened, but tree don't lie. And, well, whatever, what'd we run, do you know?
Don't know. How are the hands?
Hands are great. Hands are great. Getting ready for next year. This was the start of next year. All the hitters, Tony, myself, Dencham, Bays, are all going home early. But I'm excited. It's been a great season. John Force Racing got the championship, and a great kid, Tony Pettergon, looked great in that Powerade jacket. I tell you, he looked good. He looked almost as handsome as me in that jacket. So we're excited, and we'll say goodbye to Shirley. We love her. And Mac Tool, MBNA, everybody, action. I red lit.
With a 480.
With a what?
You ran a 480.
That really sucks. You got anything else you can say?
We still love you, champ. Let's go back to the booth.
Red light. Coyle's going to kill me. It's going to be a long winter. Man.
And there is from the Sanyo Lightship, the crowd around Shirley Muldowney's pit. And here's some of the photos now being taken.
Short guys in the front.
Short guys in the front. Meanwhile, over in Tony Schumacher's pit, the work goes on.
Yeah, as they're getting ready for the next round, this car has just been awesome. These guys, crew members, have done a great job to make the number of runs that they have in the 440 range. I mean, they have not made any mistakes, and I'll tell you what, Tony Schumacher knows it takes a great group of guys like these to be able to put him in the winner's circle. It's not all done by one guy.
Tony Schumacher tuned by this man, Alan Johnson, and Scott Kalita. And, of course, you got a little grudge with those boys. But, Alan, we are talking about unprecedented performance every time down the racetrack in the 40s.
Well, you know, you got to hand it to the guys on this team that were able to put this car together, which, you know, we did right before Vegas. And it's been pretty much flawless since then. And, you know, over here at the Schumacher camp, we have the tools to work with. It gives us what we need. And it's just all working really good. Got a great track. You know, we can't hardly miss.
Of course, Alan is also quick to point out that they haven't won anything yet, though.
Back here at Pomona, we've seen the last pass of Shirley Muldowney, but we still have to determine who is going to win the final race of 2003. Semifinals in Top Fuel coming to the line. In fact, here at the AAA of Southern California Finals, the last two event winners are side by side. 2001 winner Kenny Bernstein in the left lane. Last year's winner, Corey McClenathan, in the right.
Yeah, Corey McClenathan has never looked better. The car's been very, very consistent, running around the 455 range. The slowest run been a 459. He's only been in the right-hand lane one time, and that was his initial qualifying pass when he ran a 456. The track's probably a little bit different from now. They may have to make some adjustments, but they've looked very good to this point.
Parker?
And as Mike said, the team is very pleased with their consistency, but they know that those 455s they've been knocking out will not get the job done against Kenny Burns' team. They are on a limited budget. They have limited parts inventory. They're going to try to run a 449, so it's either going to be a quick pass or smoke for Corey Mack and his team.
They're definitely capable of running a 449. We've seen them run a 446 career best for Corey Mack and Joliet this year. See what happens.
Smoke. Kenny runs a 458 at 319 miles an hour. I hate to say this, but they may not be happy with a 458, but we'll have to wait because we still have one more pair to go. Track Fact brought to you by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles.
Well, as we watch Tony Schumacher come back into the pit, you got to remember, the guys have 75 minutes to do this, but most of the teams will take about 35 to 40 minutes. One of the keys is right there, that tool tray right there. The good mechanic's only as good as his tools, and they have every one of them in the right place so that nobody's stepping over each other. As you see them pull the superchargers off, the cylinder heads have to replace all 8 pistons, pull the clutch out, put another clutch back in, and be able to do this in the amount of time without making any mistakes. And obviously, this team has not made any mistakes because they have made 7 runs in the 440 range. Just a tremendous job by that team as you see them warming the car up and getting ready for the next round.
And there the engine came to life, and now we come back out to the starting line where 7,000 horsepower of the most mean race car we have seen all weekend. Despite the fact they lost the Budweiser shootout, running a 447, getting beat in that one, but Scott Kalita knows what that's like. Scott Kalita will be in the other lane. He runs a 449 last round and doesn't have lane choice. While these guys back up, let's go to the far end to Bill.
Kenny's asking me where I've been. Hey, let me tell you something. Last year at this time, it wasn't this dark out when we were talking for the last time.
No, it wasn't at all. In fact, it was the first round out of here, go home, see you next year, or never, ever again is what it boiled down to. But I hate running this guy. He's one of my best friends, and he's so tough up there. But the guys did a great job, and that's what it's about. Bud, Lucas, Mac, I'll tell you. Great fans today, and it's wonderful conditions.
458, Kenny. Looks like you burned the centers out. Was she hazing a little?
Yeah, well, I got out of the groove down there. It kept pushing me over, and obviously I had the left rear in the groove, one out. Kept spinning the tires, and I just couldn't bring it back. I kept turning and turning. It just wouldn't come back. So that's all it was down there. Just me not probably right on top of it all the time.
Mike, you mentioned it earlier.
We mentioned the Budweiser shootout. Let's go back and take you to that great run. Look at this. It was a hole shot, 447 with a 9 for Doug Kalita to a 447 with a 1. And look at Connie as he just went bonkers. $100,000 to Doug, but he is not going to double up, as now it's up to Scott to try and punch out the army of 1.
And Scott Kalita in that last session last night smoked the tires, trying to give them a baseline for Doug's car. He's got to get it hooked up if he wants to get around Tony.
At the stripe, Scott Kalita takes the win in a hole shot. 452 at 330 miles an hour to a 450 at 326. It's the first time all weekend that Schumacher has not run in the 40s, and there is the margin of victory, 59 10,000ths of a second.
Boy, he's got to be hating them Kalita cousins, because both of them have taken them out on hole shots this weekend. I mean, what a great job by Scott Kalita. You see, Tony Schumacher was ahead early, and then that big top-end speed by Scott at over 330 miles per hour got him by right at the end.
And remember, he lost to Doug Kalita in the final at Brainerd on a hole shot. He really does. Not like the Kalitas right now. Stay with us. Smoke clearing from the Sanyo light shift means the burnouts have been completed. Tim Wilkerson will be in the right lane. Del Worsham in the left lane.
I tell you, you know, it's one of those deals. Tim Wilkerson, I mean, has been running very, very well. Del Worsham, I mean, he just loves this racetrack and he loves this race. And he's awfully tough. But Tim Wilkerson, I mean, he's just consistent. Been running better all the time. And he fell off a little bit in that last run and lost lane choice. But that 477 opening round tells you he has the power to run very, very well. Parker?
Marty, I was a little surprised at the relatively slow ETs during the semis at Top Fuel. I asked Jim Oberhofer why. He said the track is so good, they can't spin the tires to get the wheel speed they need. Could affect the funny car class as well.
Oh, a great race. And Del Worsham, 479, 317 miles an hour, and he's going to his first final since St. Louis and his 24th of his career. Take a look at the incrementals.
What another great race. Tim Wilkerson slight advantage, 0.3 of a second. Then Del Worsham pulled the weight on the other end, but just a good side-by-side drag race. Both guys hit the combination pretty close. Just Del Worsham inched it out by that amount.
34 10,000th of a second. Let's talk to Scott Kalita.
Remember yesterday when your cousin beat Tony Schumacher for $100,000? Well, you just did it, but not for as much money.
I tell you, he's gonna have a voodoo doll of the two of us over the winter belt or something. I'm sure it'll be a long one for him. But you know, I'm just happy to be here. You know, I've got a great deal going with Mac Tools and Jesse. He's here. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm having so much fun.
Well, I'll say it for you. Next year, you guys are going to be hard to beat.
It is going to be very interesting. Think about this. Since Alan Johnson came on board, Tony Schumacher scored only 23 fewer points than Larry Dixon. As we take one more look from the Sanyo Lightship of that great run between Del Worsham and Tim Wilkerson. Look at the guys saying, oh yeah, we're going to the finals. Stay with us. We're coming back for that matchup. Time now for Corey Lee and Gary Selsey to decide who is going to the finals. Corey Lee, of course, trying to audition for the K&N ride for next year with Big Jim Dunn. There you see Gary Selsey looking to go, maybe win his second funny car event of 2003.
You know, and I'll tell you what, they've been trying the new Alan Johnson combination, that being Gary Selsey. Basically, that setback supercharger, and it's been running very, very well, making a lot of horsepower, running Big ET. Corey Lee right there, he is just having the time of his life, and he's been running very, very well. Gary Selsey, that team can't take him lightly.
These two have never met until now. Oh! This is going to be hard to call. The win light goes to Corey Lee, but did he cross the center line? Look at Skippy Kennedy. Gary's looking around, and boy, Don Schumacher's not happy. You saw Gary Selsey having to pedal it, and they're waiting for the call. There's Rick Stewart calling to the tower. Let's take another look.
This was wild. You're going to see Gary Selsey on your right. He's going to have to backpedal right there early. Gets the front end back in the air. Look at Corey Lee. He moves that thing over. With all the tire smoke, remember, he can touch the line, but if it goes over, he's disqualified. We're going to have to look from the top.
From the light ship, get one more look. Watch closely. No. And we've just gotten the official word. He did not cross the center line. So Corey Lee is going to his second career final. Dave Reed.
And you talk about a team biting their fingernails. Chuck Worsham, everybody down here, but you got team cars in the final.
You know, I got a winner going in. I get to start smoking a cigar before we even run. Hey, that Terminator 2 car said hasta la vista to everybody, and Checker Shucks and Cragen, man, we can't do better than this.
Is that car going to be back next year?
We're hoping it is, yes. Almost 100%.
Take another look. Whoa, almost ran over our cone cam. Take a look at Gary Selsey.
Watch Gary here. He's going to go into tire shake. You see it right there. He's going to get out of the throttle, get back in, picks the front end back up, starts to move over out of the groove a little bit. Let's see if we tell what happens. It looked like it might have just quit there. I think he actually probably had something to go away, and then Corey Lee was long gone by then.
One more look from the cone cam. As here they come, and oh, so close. No, it doesn't look like he's anywhere over that line. Let's go to Bill.
Down here with Del Worsham and Corey Lee, and you were watching our big screen down here on that run, and when you saw Corey Lee get that win, Del, you almost threw your back out jumping up and down.
I did. We've been a multi-car team now for several years, and I've dreamt of this day all along. And T2 car, Corey Lee, what a great job. That was close, you know, like Corey, he lives on the edge, and he proved it again. But Checker Shucks Craig and everybody on our team, what a great job. A 479 there. Our car was hurting itself down, that my dad made some great decisions between rounds, and we'll see if we can whip him in the final.
Hey, you've been quite the giant killer today there, Corey Lee.
Learned all those guys, Gary Bergen, Ed McCullough, John Force, all those guys taught me how to do that, and it finally paid off. I got this Worsham team behind me. I got T2 and the Artisan folks, Michael Karp and all his family. It's a great day. We're going to do this.
This is why these guys are out here, winning rounds and winning races.
So it will be the two team cars going after it. And no points implications. And Terry, they are looking again just to make sure. But that is the mark right there. And take another look, Mike.
You know, the new thing on the Sport Impact deal is drifting. And how about this? Corey Lee gets to the center, and there's a 230-mile-an-hour drift right there. And he just drove right through it and got the win. What a great job.
We've got to take commercial break. We still got Pro Stock and the bikes coming your way. Lane choice is going to go to Del Worsham in the Funny Car Final.